What it do, episode 2, Big Buddha Podcast. My name is Buddha, aka Derek, aka Cerny Banders, and we're here for the free thinkers out there, man. Thanks for joining me, I appreciate that, most definitely. Thanks for all the interaction on the last episode, for real, it was a pleasant surprise. First episode was a bit of a success in my eyes, It's gonna keep getting better every week, you know what I'm saying? We're just gonna keep dropping a little bit better each week. That's the way life works. Practice makes perfect, right? And no matter what you're doing. Lately it's been a little rough, man. It's been hot. Today's nice, though. Today's like in the 70s, which is crazy for St. Louis, but that usually means we're going to pay for it. The next day is going to be 103 or something. It's been hot, man. And, I don't know, the heat, and for many reasons, it's like humid heat. It's not like heat. I went to Florida for a while one time, and it was like a dry heat. Like, I could handle it. Even like I went to Arizona once too, and like that was kind of like a dry heat also. But when it gets hot here at home in St. Louis, or out even, like I said, I live in Illinois, which is right outside, but like it's just like so humid, like, and I think it just makes it sticky. It's like a whole nother level of hot. People come from other parts of the country, and they'll come here and be like, God damn, why is it so hot? And we're just like, yeah, we just die every summer. And I often wonder why everyone seems to stay in the Midwest. Like a lot of people, that if your parents were from the Midwest and their parents were from the Midwest, you guys tend to like stay, and it's kind of like a small town mindset, I guess. I don't know. But it seems to be like more common in the Midwest than it does other places. Like, if you go from New York, there's a lot of people from New York that like travel to California for business and stuff like that. You don't really see that too often. People from surrounding areas, even St. Louis, and it's like, is the Midwest really the best? We get everything last. Everything comes from the coasts. If you follow trends or whatever, no matter what it is, music, everything, progressive mindset, everything comes from the coasts. And it reaches us last. We're right here in the middle of the state. They call it the heartland. I beg to differ. But it is definitely stupid, humid, hot, and there's not much to do out here, and there's not much culture here, and so it makes it hard for, like I've been other places. That's what sucks. Is like, I used to love, and I still love home. Like, St. Louis is still home, no doubt. And every time I come home from other places, I'm like, man, relieved to be here for sure. But it's just like, when you go other places, you're like, man, home kind of doesn't have a lot of these things that these other cities have, whether you're going to, Tennessee or Chicago or any of the surrounding major cities. It's kind of like, damn, how come we don't have that? And there's some certain things that St. Louis does have, like the music scene here is, like I think us and like Memphis and a couple other, like New Orleans, like not many places have like that, like old school, like blues, music hierarchy, that just exists still. And it's kind of like an underground thing, blues music anymore. It's like definitely not pop culture. It's not out in the front. And you have to love blues music to say like, yeah, I listen to blues music, And St. Louis is full of that. You can go to any bar pretty much. Well, not anymore because of COVID, but a couple years ago, you could go anywhere and watch awesome blues artists from St. Louis perform in St. Louis. And, we have legends of our own here in St. Louis. That's any genre of music. There's some great artists that have, like, flourished here in St. Louis, and we've never understood, like, why didn't this guy go national? Why didn't this guy go global? And it makes you wonder, like, do you have to leave St. Louis to be successful? You know what I'm saying? Like I understand, like, touring. If you're a musician, touring is definitely necessary. I think that if you definitely want to get your name out there, you have to come, perform in many different markets and try to pick up as many people in your demographic that you're trying to reach as possible. You're not going to do that from one place, so I get that. But, like, maybe like living in another city also could, like, you could establish connections. And I don't know, if I don't want to diss St. Louis, man. I just think it's there's more people like stepping on each other's toes than there are helping each other up the ladder. And I don't know, maybe I'm wrong altogether, but I just think your comfort zone is gonna kill you, and I'm talking to myself too, because I'm obviously here. I'm coming to you live from the luxurious kitchen studios in Dupo, Illinois. So my thing is, like, I'm talking to myself while I'm talking to y'all at the same time, because I listen back on the episodes, and I'll take my own advice sometime, hopefully at some point. But I think your comfort zone's gonna kill you. I've heard that. I've heard other people say that, and I feel that in my bones. You know what I mean? And lately, I've been like trying to get myself out of my comfort zone. I'm trying to do new things and trying to propel myself into situations where, like, maybe I'm not as comfortable, because adversity has the ability to elicit talents that would have lain dormant otherwise. That's an old quote, and I think that's true. It's definitely true. I think your comfort zone will smother you out, and kill all your ambition and all that good stuff. So I'm trying to take myself out of my comfort zone, and in more than a couple ways, and I don't know, maybe I need to smoke less. But I always say I'm not smoking any more weed, or I'm not smoking weed anymore, but I'm not smoking any less either, and that's God's honest truth. I don't know. I spend way too much money on that. Maybe that's a change I need to make. My comfort zone is rooted in around that, but I can do that anywhere, and that's the thing, is like, it makes strangers your best friends, and like, it's a great connector, it's a great icebreaker, and it just kind of like, it's a bonding experience from the first toke. You know what I'm saying? I've smoked with some people and like read their bad energy and been like, ooh, I don't like that person, but then like, I'm like, all right, well, you don't want to judge a person by that. And then I get fucked over by that person. I'm like, man, I should have listened. And like, I'm not saying like weed gives you like an extra like intuition, but I mean, maybe it does. I don't know. I felt more in connected in that moment enough to read that person, or it's happened many times. And I just think we'd had something to do with that. Also, like, I've made some great friends just by hey man, you got a light, and then they see what I'm lighting, and then it's like, oh, let's have a 45-minute conversation about each other, and they end up being like I said, really good friends, good people. Weed tends to do that. Like I said, it's a great icebreaker. One thing though I hate about like the Midwest, like I said earlier, we get everything last, and that includes good weed. And one thing that's common, in pot shops all around the country, really, even here in St. Louis, but I mean, it's just so much more. If you're in St. Louis, you need a medical card still. If you're on the Illinois side of the river, you can get weed in a pot shop, but like I said in the last episode, it's $80 an eighth. You're gonna pay out the ass, and But I did buy some weed called The Soap, and it was Cookies brand, and some of the best weed I ever had, and it was like $75-$80 an eighth, and I got it from the dispensary in Sauget. It was 31% THC, and that's what I was talking about when I need an exotic pack. Because here in St. Louis, and I mean, I'm sure in other places too, because you can buy them on Amazon, but it's like, why can I buy the bags for exotic packs, like cookie brand bags, and like fake runts and fake, all these like London pound cake and all these exotic brands that sell, weed in bags that are normally, like, if you get the real deal Holyfield, it's fucking some knockout shit. You know what I mean? It's crystally, it looks good, it smells good, but like here in St. Louis, motherfuckers be putting their trap pack weed in the exotic bag, and then they want to sell that for 50 an eighth, and it's like, all right, cool, fool me once, shame on me, fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. You know what I'm saying? I just pulled a George Bush, fucked up that quote, wow. But of course that's the way the street works. Also, this ain't fucking Walmart, I get it. I'm not going to call up whoever sold it to me and be like, hey, man, what the fuck? But I mean, I might. But, like, the thing is, that ruins the fucking game. Like, if you're selling fake exotic packs, man, stop that shit, bro. Stop that shit. As a consumer, please, bro. Or cis, whichever gender you prefer, it's not one of those things that, like, it's like a disrespect thing, you know what I mean? Like, it fucks up the game. Because then, like, now I have trust issues. Like, now, like, every time somebody says they got exotic packs, I'm like, do you really, though? Can I see it, though? Can you open it, though? Can I smell it though? And I almost feel like that's not ridiculous for me to ask those things, but at the same time, it's like it's a sealed package. Also, if I have the real deal and you're asking me those questions, I'm probably liable to be like, you know what, fuck you, I don't have to sell it to you. So, I don't want to be that guy, but I hate getting hustled on the exotic packs, man. Fake exotic packs in St. Louis is a real crisis, and and I'm reaching out to you via my podcast to say stop that shit, please and thank you. Weed has been a constant in my life for probably like 10 years. I would say like I smoke almost daily for 10 years. A couple of exceptions, sicknesses, funerals, weddings, things like that. And, I don't know. The first time I smoked, I was 14 years old. Actually, obviously that wasn't 10 years ago. 10 years ago, I was 19, and that's when I started smoking heavily. I was going through a tough time, and I remember for the first time it like really was able to like separate my mind state from like what I was going through. It helped me gain some clarity, and and I fell in love with it. But when I was 14, the first time I smoked, I know a lot of people say they didn't get high the first time you smoke, or you don't get high the first time you smoke, which is a blanket statement. I got really, really high, and I'm going to tell you that story right now. I was 14 years old, and I don't want to pretend like I was an angel or whatever, but I had never smoked weed up to that point. I can't remember what exactly the basis was. I'm not going to sell out my sister, but I am going to sell out my sister a little bit. She kind of, she was supposed to be babysitting me for whatever reason. And she's 4 years older than me. So, if I'm 14, she's, 18 or close to it. And, I remember her friend Neil was coming over, and Neil, had some grade A marijuana from what I remember. And he had a bowl, but he packed the bowl. And I think her idea was like, all right, cool. She wanted to smoke, but she's got her annoying little brother with her because, like, I'm there and we're at our house where we live. But like, I think she thought to herself, like, okay, like if I get him to do it also, he can't tell on me for it if he did it, right? And because I don't know, we had like a war going. It's not like I'm a snitch, but like she would tell on me, and then I would like try to get her back at some point, and then like that's some unhealthy shit that we just carry with us. We just both hold grudges and shit now, and that's just the way it is. But we're good with each other now, me and her, so she's probably gonna laugh her ass off hearing this. But yeah, she kind of roped me into it, and of course I was like trying to be cool. It's my older sister and her older friend. And he's got weed, and I don't know what that's about, but I just, I don't know why, but it seemed enticing to me. And so yeah, I went over to him, and we sat under the tree in the backyard. He packed a bowl, and we smoked it, and like I coughed really hard. I don't think I inhaled it right. And so I died coughing, and it like hurt my throat. You know how that is. And so I was like bitching about it, and he was like, well, I don't have any papers, and he was like, do you guys have any Bibles? And our dad, conveniently, was a preacher for most of my life. And so I had a spare Bible. I had my maid Bible that I like took with me to church when I went or whatever. But I had a spare Bible as well. And I came outside and gave it to Neil, and he found the first page with the most red letters that he could find, and he rolled a blasphemous spliff in the red letters. And when we smoked that, now I don't remember how many times I hit it. I like hit it like once or twice, but I got so high, and like I don't know, like I was almost spinning. I was so high, and we were talking about like nature and shit, and he was like, man, you see those berries over on that bush? And I'm like, yeah, man. And he's like, those are for you, man. Like God put those here for you, for human consumption, like that's. And I'm like, word? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, he's like, you can eat that, you can go eat that berry right now. And I'm like, should I though? And he was like, yes, go eat that berry. So like I went and tried it, and obviously it was the most disgusting, because it's not for human consumption. It wasn't even a berry. It's just one of those little like red fucking like small ass, almost cherry tomato looking things that grow in your bush. That's what that was, and it wasn't a berry at all, and it was disgusting. And so that was the point where I was like, like they were laughing, and I was like, oh, fuck you guys. And so I ran inside, and I remember falling down like I lived in the basement, and I remember falling down the stairs in the basement. And the thing is, like, our basement railing didn't have any protection on the side, so I like bounced twice and then fell off the side of the stairs and like busted my shit. And I was like, oh man, now I'm like super stoned and kind of hurt, and I like changed clothes because I was like paranoid about the smell. I went upstairs, and I remember I drank like 6 cans of soda, and I ate like a whole jar of like a family-sized jar of pickles. And then like Allie came inside freaking out. She's like, oh my God, Derek, you have to get ready. What Dad's coming to get you. He's taking you to Guitar Center. You can't look like this. You need to go take a shower. So like she goes to put me in the shower, and I'm like, all right, cool, whatever. I go in the bathroom without grabbing a towel. And, obviously you don't think about those type of things when you're going to take a shower. And so I get in the shower, and I'm like, oh, yeah, man, this feels good. Not really processing what I have to do in like 30 minutes when my dad shows up. And so I'm sitting there in the shower, and, it's warm water cascading down upon me. And, I got comfortable, as you do when you're stoned sometimes, and so I was like, dude, I'm gonna lay down in the bath and like the water, like just let the warm water spray on me, which was great. And then the water got cold. I fell asleep sitting there in the tub, and the water gets cold, wakes me up, and I act like I got hit with the defibrillator. I come like out of a coma or something like, and I'm like, oh my God, it's so cold. I turned off the water, and so now I'm like, I'm stoned for the first time, very stoned for the first time. I'm tired, just woke up, and I'm aggravated as hell. I'm wet, and I'm naked, and when I went in the house, it was just me, Allie, and Neil outside. Allie, like, for whatever fucking reason, my sister called a neighborhood meeting on our back porch, and she had the 2 girls next door and our other homie from school and like a bunch of people on the porch. And I come outside, like I hit the door open. I'm like, where's the towels? And I just remember Allie saw me naked. She's like, Jesus Christ, Derek, go inside. And everybody started laughing. I was like, oh, that's when I like really opened my eyes and realized how many people were on my porch. And so then I'm like hella salty. Now I'm like really salty, and I'm paranoid for the first time. Paranoid stoned, so I go downstairs, I put on more clothes, and then I come upstairs. And this is the part where I wish that, I understand it now that I'm like an experienced stoner, but like at the same time, some dickless asshole on Yahoo Answers, I get on the internet and I'm like, cool, figure out how to get pot off of my breath. I didn't brush my teeth. I don't know why I thought that I still smelled like weed, but I was definitely convinced that like, oh no, he's going to smell it. My dad knows. He's going to know, And so I got on Yahoo Answers, and I typed in how to get your pot off of your breath. And some fucking spineless, dickless asshole on Yahoo Answers types in spoonfuls of peanut butter. And so now me, the naive stoner that just ate a fucking berry off of a bush because my sister's loser friend told me to, now I am inside with a tablespoon scooping out, big spoonfuls of Skippy, and I just got a mouthful of it, and I'm like, it's so dry. And I remember struggling through like 2 or 3 spoonfuls before I was like, fuck this. And I put the thing down, and now like I've drank all the soda in the house. We have no pickles. I don't even have anything to drink necessarily. And my dad just pulled in the driveway. And so Allie's laughing. They're all out there. They know what's going on now because I'm sure she didn't spare any details. And my dad pulls up, and I basically end up going to Guitar Center with my dad. And so, Guitar Center is very overwhelming for anyone that like hasn't been a Guitar Center. But I'm a guitar player. I really enjoy guitars, but like when you're stoned for the first time and you walk, that place looks like 10 times bigger than it did before, and there's like thousands of guitars and, hundreds of amps. And it's just like, wow. And my dad, I remember like sitting me down. I was like sitting in front of this amp that had all kinds of effects on it. And I was sitting there fucking with the effects. And he like handed me a guitar. And I was like just sitting there like he was like, "You gonna play something?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And I'm just sitting there like one string fucking dong, dong. And he's like, "Come on, man, play something." And I'm like, it's the first time I've ever really had to like close my eyes to concentrate so I can play something. That's just funny as hell. But that's just, yeah, it's the first time I ever got stoned. So then it's safe to say I was, borderline traumatized. And I was like, no, that shit, not for me. If it makes me act like that, I got naked in front of everybody. And, if that's what happens every time I get high, I don't want to do that. And so I didn't really smoke again until I was like 17 or 18. And even then it wasn't like constant. Like when I was like 17 or 18, my friends would be like, "Dude, we're getting high on Friday, bro. Fucking yeah." And like it was like an event, you know what I mean? That like we're getting stoned. We're going to go buy some weed and we're getting high, And, I don't know. By the time I was 19, I was like waking up like, yeah, I'm going to go smoke, And, that's where I've been pretty much ever since. And maybe why I'm still where I'm at. I don't know. We'll have to see about that. I don't think it's a side effect or anything. But, there's a lot of things to cover in the world right now. One thing that I'm seeing more commonly is all these stores, businesses, restaurants, things like that, saying that there's some type of change and small bill shortage, or like that they're going cashless completely. Without explanation in some cases. Some cases are saying it's the Federal Reserve. And that, the thing is, this has been a conversation for 20 years. Okay, so for the people that don't know, they've been talking about going to a digital currency for many years, just because a couple reasons, but mainly because it's the only way to have a fully traceable, fully taxable system in your economy. Obviously, it's the way we stop black market or under the table transactions, or but what they don't take into account that they're ruining industries. This is going to take money from waitresses. It's going to take money from lawn people. It's going to take money from strippers, all kinds of people, not just the like service industry people. Like it's going to take because people are going to be a lot less likely to tip and things like that if they have to put it on a card every time, or if every transaction is recorded. You're not going to go to the strip club. You know what I'm saying? It's like that's going to ruin that industry completely. I know it's going to hurt quite a few others as well. And like I said, it's been a talk for 20 years. They haven't been able to do it until now. Because here's why: you either need to completely collapse the economy and physically, take money from society, physical money from society, which is impossible almost, or you just have to make it worthless. You know what I'm saying? If you can get everybody to take their money to the bank and exchange it for digital currency, or you just tell every company, or if every company just agrees, all right, cool, we're not going to do money anymore. We're not going to do physical cash anymore. Then it's borderline worthless unless you're taking it to the bank. And here's the thing, like once you've already taken, like say you got stockpiles of money, say you take it to the bank and you put it in a bank account. What happens when the economy does collapse and your bank, maybe the bank collapses completely? Where's your digital money then? You know what I'm saying? Like how are you going to keep tabs on that? But the thing is, if you keep on hold of digital physical money in a digital age, eventually it's going to be worthless. It's going to, maybe after the fallout and the apocalypse happens, you're going to be able to trade money for goods, when there is no more money and people are just, it's a collector's novelty item, then maybe you might be able to do it. But on June 30th, 2020, the Senate Banking Committee held a hearing on the future of the digital dollar. They said the U.S. moves closer to the digital dollar. This is from Forbes. The pressure to create a digital U.S. dollar are mounting as China recently began testing in its own digital currency, the DCEP, which will be included in popular applications like WeChat and Alipay. Of particular concern, widespread adoption of digital yen, in emerging markets and international trade. So basically, China's got it. They're, the testing ground for this thing, which, they've been the forefront of the digital age since forever. Western culture has hardly contributed to the technology. We pretty much get everything from them. So that, I mean, it would make sense that it would start over there. But I'm saying once we figure out that they can do it, if you haven't figured out that the greed of the U.S. government is so huge that they would screw their own people over, then that's the issue. Because I think the greed of the U.S. Government is that, yes, they want everything to be taxed and they want paper trails on everything, and that it's an unfortunate thing. If Forbes is talking about it, guys, they're normalizing the idea of it so that you don't have to ask those questions anymore. Now, you're gonna wonder, oh, well, why would they do that whenever they do it? Well, the thing is, they've been warning you about it. They've been leading you up to it, and they have chips on the credit cards now. Debit cards have chips on them. They tried it with that whole thing where you just wave the card in front of it. That's going to be more of a common thing. Just stuff like that. People are going to start wearing, maybe rings that have, a digital device in it, or, maybe a chip is something that's going to be in the forefront in the future. I've heard of a couple businesses asking their employees to get chips so that they can pay for things like in the cafeteria, just like clock in by just waving your arm over something, But I mean, I could see it being in bracelets too, because implants scare people. If it's not going to be an involuntary thing, I think it's going to be a lot harder for you to chip people than if you would just allow people to chip themselves. You know what I'm saying? We all have cell phones, and we're already tracked and everything. We've done this to ourselves, and we're raised in a culture that actually normalizes the idea of that. So I don't see why a bracelet or a ring or even a microchip would be much different for a lot of people. But at the same time, I am completely against it. I don't want to have that in me, and I'm sure a lot of other people don't either. I'm not trying to be, and we're getting closer to this digital age, and it's scary, but it's exciting at the same time. Like someone like Elon Musk, who isn't, he's an obvious genius. He's done a lot of awesome things. I definitely want a Tesla car, or that Cybertruck would be fucking sick. But he's talking about that Neuralink thing, and it would basically supply electrons to the parts of your brain that are lacking deficiency, and it would supplement like I said, where you're lacking, it would supplement electrical charges so that your brain can fire on all cylinders in that area. And so what he's saying is it could possibly cure blindness, or say you're like autistic or anything that has to do with a neurological, vision, hearing, maybe. All of that stuff can maybe be fixed by just plugging this Neuralink system into your brainstem and allowing it to supplement the areas of your brain where you're lacking. Now, while that's very exciting, and I think that that's a huge leap for medical industry and just allowing people to be normal that maybe don't have the option, or maybe weren't born in a quote unquote normal mind, you can give them a chance to not only compete but excel. And but at the same time, like what part do we say, okay, maybe we're going to be cyborgs? Maybe cyborgs are a real thing and this is going to happen. You know what I mean? And I don't know, man. It's kind of, like I said, it's kind of scary, but it's exciting at the same time. I don't want to dig too deep on that, but it's definitely like I said, it's for people that are much smarter than me that are figuring this shit out. But I think we are inching closer to that digital age. I think all the movies that we've seen as kids, and books we've read, and we've always imagined what the future would look like, I think it's going to be coming to fruition in the next 10 years. I think we're going to see a lot of things in the next 10 years. I think how far we've already come in 10 years technologically. From the TVs and cell phones we had 10 years ago to now. It's quite extraordinary what we're doing, and I think we have Eastern culture to thank for that. Most definitely. More of that stuff to come. I'm sure as technology advances. I'm gonna fuck up multiple times, so just never mind me. I'm tongue twisted and I'm stoned. I got the dry mouth going on. I can hear the whisper going on. I sound like an old man who hasn't had anything to drink in a couple days. I'm just whistling. But we're gonna keep it moving. I do want to do a deep dive today, and I promised everyone that was going to happen. So here it is. Ghislaine, Maxwell. She is a name that, if you're in the United States and you're at least on actually, you probably heard about her. Even if you don't have a TV, I guarantee you know who Ghislaine Maxwell is. She's a British socialite. She's Epstein's partner in crime and co-conspirator. Terramar founder. Terramar is a project that was founded in the U.S. in 2012. It was a self-described environmental nonprofit organization focused on ocean protection and conservation. And then in 2013, Ghislaine starts a separate ocean conservation charity, quote-unquote charity, corporation in the UK, also called Terramar. They use their connections in the UN, a man named Amir Dossel and Stephen Haft, to funnel tens of millions of dollars for charity, and they pocketed almost all of it. It was truly professional white-collar money laundering. She's very, very smart. As a matter of fact, Ghislaine has a bachelor's degree and a master's degree from Oxford University. She is a licensed private helicopter and deep water submarine pilot. That's important. Conveniently enough, and oddly enough, Epstein's Island actually had a submarine port. And nearby, Joe Biden actually owns an island, and that used to be used as a submarine base. Those are all interesting things that are surrounding Ghislaine Maxwell's. If you sorry about that. If you wondered, if you were shocked by the names on the flight logs, I wonder what her underwater submarine, logs look like. I wonder what her passenger log looks like in her submarine that she obviously can pilot by herself. It says she has a license. She's a pilot, a submarine pilot, a licensed submarine pilot. She has her own submarine. They seized it. It's white and it's actually it looks cool, man. It's like some futuristic shit. I don't know. But Ghislaine Maxwell, this goes deep, y'all. This goes real deep. Ghislaine Maxwell's father, his name is Robert Maxwell, and he's a British media mogul. He was also an Israeli Mossad spy. Now, this man goes missing at the end of his life. He went missing, and his body was found dead in the Atlantic Ocean. Shortly after that, her and her sisters ended up making their way to the U.S. Now, here's what's funny. Her sisters, Christine and Isabel Maxwell, created software that works on the intelligence databases of the CIA, FBI, and the DEA. So now we have a man who is an Israeli Mossad spy and a British media mogul, and he has 3 daughters, and they're all obviously very smart, and they have business ties to the CIA, the FBI, and the DEA here in America. They're from the UK, but they have ties to the American government justice system here in America, to the point where they were creating software that they still use to this day. She was captured. Ghislaine Maxwell was quote-unquote captured by the FBI July 2nd in her New Hampshire mansion, where she owns a residence there. It's like $1 million house. It's huge. And she recently moved to a COVID wing in the prison that she was at. So they arrested her. They said that she tried to flee to an interior room in her house. So I think that's like some hidden safe room type shit. I don't know why there would be an interior room in your house. I mean, I guess if you're rich, you got it like that. You might want to have a bunker of sorts, but they said she tried to do that, and she also wrapped her cell phone in tinfoil. So it would appear that she was trying to get away from the FBI, and it wasn't that the FBI, came and it was like a thing that, because here's what I think. She wasn't here. She wasn't in New Hampshire. They would have picked her up much sooner had she been in New Hampshire. She was in Italy. She was in Paris. She went, there's certain places where she couldn't go, obviously, but there's plenty of other places in the world where she could go. I think awareness is getting wrapped around this whole child sex ring, child pedophilia ring, and it all started with the Jeffrey Epstein case. And now people are starting to wake up, and everybody's talking about it. Whether you believe in it or you don't believe in it, you're fucking talking about it. COVID kind of wore down, the riots kind of wore down, and guess what, guys? It's still here, still the elephant in the room. Let's talk about it. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I think. That they tried to say, well, she's not Jeffrey Epstein. That's her defense. That's their excuse, because they arrested her They picked her up. I think the FBI called her and said, somebody, I don't know if it's the FBI, but somebody called her and said, hey, you need to come back and answer for this because we're not taking the fall for you. This is causing too much awareness. People are digging too close. You know what I'm saying? It's too close to home. You need to come back and figure out, you need to answer for this. And I think they're going to help her. I don't think she's going to get what she deserves, unfortunately. There's a reason why Lady Justice is blind here in the United States. You know what I'm saying? And I think she has enough money to be taken care of. Also, she's working out plea deals already, which I'm not completely against that. Obviously, I want the people, if she has evidence, people deserve to see it. But that should not give you immunity. You know what I'm saying? You're obviously, also preying on children with Jeffrey Epstein. You were a child predator. You coerced girls whenever, they would otherwise wouldn't have been comfortable talking to Jeffrey. You coerced girls into situations where they ended up getting sexually abused and sometimes, like mentally enslaved to this idea of, this is just what I do. And, he's giving me money, so it's okay. Or like, there's other girls, so it's okay. And also they both manipulated multiple girls into going to recruit other girls. And that's what they did as a manipulation tactic. That what they would do is if a girl refused, if Jeffrey pulled his dick out and a girl was like, oh no, no. What he would do is he would cover himself and say, okay, that's fine. Here's the money. Here's $200. For every girl you bring me, I'll give you $200 more. If you watch the Jeffrey Epstein thing on Netflix, you heard all about that. Now that's what he would do. And so Ghislaine was a part of that as well. I just don't see how her defense rests on that. Well, she's not Jeffrey and she shouldn't have to answer for his crimes. I completely agree with that, but she's definitely going to have to answer for her crimes. So she was quote unquote captured by the FBI. She was formerly represented by a Denver law firm, a woman from the UK, previously, not even in this instance. This was like before. She was previously represented by Denver law firm Haddon, Morgan, and Foreman. Coincidentally, this is the same law firm that successfully represented John Ramsey, father of John Benet Ramsey, in his defense against allegations surrounding his daughter's murder. Conveniently, John Ramsey had also dated Natalie Holloway's mother shortly before her disappearance on a trip in the Caribbean when she was just 18 years old. Natalie Holloway was a pretty young woman. She was 18 years old. And she went missing on she was going on a senior trip after her graduation and went to the Caribbean and ended up missing. It's just, not saying that there's definite ties there, but it's just a little convenient that John Ramsey happened to also be affiliated with Natalie Holloway. And he's being represented by the same lawyers that are representing Ghislaine Maxwell now. There's just, not saying there's anything there, but, it's just a lot of, things that scratch your head and make you go, But, it's, her shit doesn't stop there, though. She has deep connections. And I'm talking some of the most powerful people in the world. Royalty. Royalty. And she, like I said, she's from the UK. She's British. So there's nothing higher than that in her mind and in her life. There's nothing higher than British royalty. And, maybe they were the ones that sent her, because Prince Andrew's all wrapped up in this. Prince Andrew is a definite player. He's definitely guilty in this case. And I think anybody that saw the Jeffrey Epstein thing on Netflix, nobody's scratching their head about that. But Prince Andrew is the Duke of York. He's been affiliated with both Epstein and Maxwell for decades. He's been seen at Ghislaine Maxwell's quaint little London townhouse. And it's not a huge, luxurious residence at all. It's nice, but it's not huge. Definitely not somewhere that you would think you would see a prince or the Duke of York, in, unless he absolutely knows and trusts that person. It's not a rich neighborhood. These houses are very close together. This isn't a luxurious thing that she has. It's a very quaint townhouse, exactly as I said. And if you've seen pictures of it, he's definitely been there. For sure. Also, he was seen, the guy who did maintenance on Jeffrey Epstein's island said that he saw Prince Andrew in the pool with a young woman. And we later figured out who that young woman was. It turns out to be Virginia Roberts. He is photographed with Virginia Roberts on the first night she ever met him. And he's photographed with her and Ghislaine Maxwell and in Ghislaine's townhouse. They had just got back from the club where they went dancing, and she said he was sweating all over her all night. And when they got back, Ghislaine kind of cornered her. And after this photo was taken, of course, she asked Prince Andrew for the photo. That's why the photo was taken. The girl, was obviously like, wow, this is Prince Andrew. She was from the States, though. She's here in London, and now she's been sexually abused by Jeffrey Epstein for a few years. But now she's 17 years old, and she's here in the UK, and she's with Prince Andrew and Ghislaine Maxwell, and they just went out dancing. She thought the night was over, and she asked for that photo before she went to bed, and after that photo was taken, she said Ghislaine cornered her and said, well, you're going to have to do for him what you do for Jeffrey. And she knew exactly what that meant, and then Prince Andrew proceeded to rape her, according to Virginia Roberts' account, And she said that photo was taken just before he raped her for the first time. Not to mention, though, that not just Prince Andrew. They've been, both Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell were invited to parties at Buckingham Palace, noted guests of both the Rothschilds and the Clintons. So the Rothschilds, some of the most powerful, rich people in the whole world, have Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell on their guest list. Also, the Clintons. The fucking Clintons have, Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell on their thing, and I'm not surprised by that, when you find out that, that Bill Clinton rode his sex plane 25 times, and, Hillary rode it a handful on her own as well, and I'm not surprised by that, with all the, like I said, I get wrapped up in this Pizzagate frazzle drip stuff, and, if any of those allegations are true surrounding Hillary Clinton, I'm not surprised by her participation in any of this at all, but there's just so many people that would have pressured Ghislaine to come back to the States and, quote-unquote, get arrested. I think she was turning herself in more than that. I think Prince Andrew and royalty, and, they were getting heat, obviously, and the closer this gets to him, the worse it is for them. You know what I'm saying? And everyone involved. Like I said, this is popes and priests and judges and lawyers and cops and and this is white collar robbers and all these people on Wall Street and famous actors and actresses and there's a lot of singers and all kinds of stuff. There's a lot of people wrapped up in this. Nobody wants to go down. Nobody wants to answer for it. But fortunately, I'm glad they got her. But Ghislaine Maxwell is going to end up answering for some of this, and I'm afraid that they're not going to make her answer for enough. You know what I'm saying? I'm afraid that's not going to happen. The thing is, she wasn't there, but the Duke of York had a 4-day holiday with Jeffrey Epstein in his home in 2008, shortly after Epstein pleaded guilty and registered as a sex offender in the state of New York. She has admitted to having video evidence of important people having sex with minors, and I'm sure that includes the Duke of York and many, many, many other people. If you saw the episodes of the Jeffrey Epstein Island thing, they had cameras in every corner of that house. There was no privacy at all in that house. So everything was recorded, everything, and if she has that, that's going to be very valuable to her. But like I said, I don't think that they should let her go. I don't think that should be something that grants her immunity, but she said she has photographic and videographic evidence of important people having sex with minors, intends to work with authorities in hopes of a lighter sentence. And, my thing is, does she make it out of jail? It's a good question. I think that's a lot of important people, a lot of them want her gone. And they want to silence her for obvious reasons. I think that's a big thing that we're going to see in coming weeks. Like I said, they've moved her to a COVID wing already. They said they've been moving her from cell to cell to keep assassins from, I guess, guessing where she's at or whatever. But, just yesterday, a federal judge, she had a court hearing for the first time. A federal judge denied bail and called her a flight risk. Ghislaine Maxwell, after she pleaded not guilty to the charges related to her role in procuring girls and young women for sexual abuse by financier Jeffrey Epstein. The judge set a tentative trial date of July 12, 2021. So she has an entire year to sit in that jail. It just seems like, can we bump that up? Can we speed that up a little bit? Because I think she's gonna get touched. In those coming months. She had a whole year to sit in that jail. Somebody's gonna figure out, man. Or she could get COVID and die, quote unquote. And just, I'm sure they'll say all kinds of things that, I'm not going to believe if she ends up passing away coincidentally, before she can out anybody or out the right people. They might give up some names and they'll protect the others. And I think that's just as bad. You know what I'm saying? If we got people, if anybody did these things to little kids, and young women, we need to address that. These people need to be pay for all of it. And it doesn't matter if they're a politician, if they're an actor, it doesn't matter how beloved they are. Like everyone should answer for this regardless, including her. I don't think she should be set free. Her defense, like I said, they argued that, it's not fair her being called a flight risk and she shouldn't be charged as Jeffrey Epstein, despite a victim taking a stand and identifying her as a sexual predator. So, like, they had a girl that had been one of Epstein's, like, young women that he had victimized, and she had pointed in court and said, yeah, she's a predator too. It said Ghislaine had a lot, Ghislaine, she had a lot to do with what happened to me. And so it's going to be hard for her to deny these things. She was indicted on 6 counts, including conspiring to entice minors to travel to engage in sexual acts and enticing a minor to travel to engage in sexual acts. She also faces perjury charges over allegedly lying during a dispossession in a civil suit related to the allegations against Jeffrey Epstein in 2008. So, yeah, that's a lot on her plate, but 6 counts? How many victims are there? He had what, like 25 girls that he had to pay in just in New York alone? How many other places did he have mansions and houses, and how many places did she have mansions and houses? How many girls are we talking about? You're charging her with six counts? 6 counts? These are some sick motherfuckers, man. There's some sick shit going on in this world. And I think that, she knows about a lot of it. I think she was definitely his right hand man or woman in this case. I don't think that, I don't know. It says that, he was her girlfriend or whatever. I just think she was his fucking business partner. I think she was there. I think she knew about all of it. And I think she not only knew about it, but she definitely participated 100%. I don't know. Like I said, some sick motherfuckers in this world, man. I say we just let's make this shit interesting, man. Let's kill all pedophiles. Let's kill all of them. Let's kill them all. Like, get people together, like murderers and pedophiles and rapists and people that we just can't save as a society. Just get them all together, and we'll bring back the fucking Coliseum. We already got football stadiums and shit. Just pick one, and let's turn it back into the Coliseum. You know what I mean? We'll take it back. They're going to die anyway. Put them on death row. You know what I'm saying? They're going to die anyway. Might as well die in like a pay-per-view event. You know what I'm saying? Make them go up against lions and tigers and bears. Oh my. Who wouldn't pay to see that shit? Who wouldn't pay to see a pedophile get his fucking face eaten off by a lion? I would almost be like, poor lion had to deal with that pedophile. You know what I'm saying? But they all taste the same. You know what I mean? Humans all taste the same. I say that's it. You know what I mean? We got more big cats in captivity in Texas than there are in the wild. Let's put those cats to work. Let's feed them some fucking humans, man. Let's get that shit. Call Joe Exotic. Let's get it going. You know what I'm saying? Like, what is Carol Baskin doing? She's not in jail. Let's get her. We got way too many big cats in captivity, way too many people on death row, and way too many pedophiles getting lighter sentences that they don't deserve. So I just say let's give the people what they want, blood. You know what I mean? These are people that are hardwired to be criminals or whatever. They're unsavable. We can't rehabilitate someone that's attracted to kids sexually or that rapes people continuously. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm sure some people can be rehabilitated, but most of them probably not going to happen. You know what I'm saying? Also, why should we try? If you're a pedophile, I don't feel like anyone should invest time and energy into you. If we had I've said it before, if a dog had rabies and it was biting kids, we would fucking shoot that dog in the head. No questions asked. That's just where I'm at with it. I don't know. In other news about dumb motherfuckers, Mike Perry is a UFC fighter, and he was out to eat with his girl, seemingly at some restaurant. It looked like Applebee's or something. It was a commoner's place. Definitely wasn't fancy. He was wearing a t-shirt, so it was a no tie needed type situation. But he was in the restaurant, ended up getting into an altercation with another young man. Not sure about why or how or actually what happened, but apparently the guy touched Mike, and now Mike's like, all right, let's go outside. I'm just going to go out here and wait for the dude, blah, blah. And, so he's out there. The guy said he didn't touch him. Mike Perry gets ramped up. He's like, oh, you didn't touch me? And then some old dude's like, no, you hit him, blah, 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 and like gets in Mike's face. Now, from one camera angle that I saw the video on, it looks like Mike just strokes this dude. Like, the guy's obviously, he's a senior citizen, well into his 60s, maybe 70s. And Mike calls him an old fat piece of shit and then fucking decks him. And this guy drops like a sack of potatoes. I don't know. Dude's a UFC fighter. Like I said, he shouldn't. If you got hands like that and they're registered, you need to control your anger and your fucking roid rage before you start hitting senior citizens at Applebee's or whatever it was. But then, then the excitement's not over, though. He proceeds to further ruin his career by cornering himself, which is what he should have done in the first place, is separating himself from people. And then he proceeds, because, now there's hysteria erupting around him, and, he's feeling threatened. And so he corners himself, and he's telling people to get the fuck back, But he also proceeds to drop numerous N-bombs, just N-words all over, and he's white as the driven snow. And so nobody's buying that shit, Mike Perry. R.I.P. to Mike Perry, the UFC fighter. Your career is dead, my guy. They're going to cancel you harder than they did Ellen. You know what I'm saying? That's just where it's at. But this has been fun, y'all. It's been fun. Thanks for coming back. Thanks for kicking it with me. I appreciate y'all spending your time. And if you've made it this far, you're a true blue OG, because it's not always easy to make it all the way through a podcast. That means you can listen and you have ample attention to give to things, which is awesome, because nowadays, including myself, some of us have the attention to get goldfish. We're sitting here on our cell phones. Instant gratification is what we need, So I appreciate you making it this far. I appreciate you listening to the podcast, and more to come. I got more topics. I'm gonna try to drop at least an episode a week, maybe 2 a week, like I did this week. Who knows? You know what I'm saying? Only time will tell. Thanks for hanging out. See you later.